Now, no garden would be complete without these wonderful characters, worms. It's time to start worm farming on the verge, and I've come to visit an incredibly passionate man who's right into the wonderful world of worms. Ecologist Peter Rutherford is the educator at a sustainable living education centre in Sydney's north, and there's nothing he doesn't know about worms. So why should we farm worms, Pete?
Well, two really important reasons, Costa. Food scraps, when you throw them in a landfill, causes groundwater pollution. When you give those same food scraps to worms, they turn it into plant food. Beautiful, beautiful worm castings. I'll show you. Look at that.
Oh, look at all that in there.
That's pure plant food, full of available nutrients, beneficial microbes. That's what makes plants healthy, and that's what makes people healthy.
The worms in worm farms are surface living species. You'll need about 1,000 to get started, and that'll cost you $50 from a breeder. So Pete, how do you go about setting up a worm farm?
Well, there's lots of ways, Costa. I've seen them in old bathtubs, in wooden boxes, plastic boxes. But one of the easiest ways, I think, is this type of thing here. The first tray is solid like that, collects water. So you put a little bucket under the tap.
Okay.
Leave the tap open all the time. This tray here, it's going to be their home tray. Pop that one in.
Nice residence.
Yep. A sheet of newspaper in the bottom, stops soil falling through. Get some soil out of your garden or nice composted, must be organic. This is where we put the worms in.
Welcome.
Tip them all in, spread
Boys
them out.
and girls. Oh, look at that. They're loving it.
And we give that a good watering now to settle it in, please.
Oh, okay.
Until water's running out the tap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, beautiful. And make sure that the bottom of this next tray is touching.
It's pushing
very
against
important.
it.
Yes. Okay, so pop that on. Put a couple of handfuls more soil in here now just to join up the trays. Just spread that out, so just join up the trays.
Oh, yeah.
Then you get some food scraps, thin layers regularly. Again, you add some soil on top. The reason for this is because worms don't have teeth, and they take in some soil and they grind it in a thing called their gizzard.
Okay.
Okay, so this is their teeth. A little bit more water.
Okay.
Put a blanket on. Now, whatever people use for a blanket, you can buy these commercial ones. Make sure air can move through it, okay? You want air movement through the system.
So not use newspaper?
No, don't use newspaper because it limits air movement through the system. And then the lid goes on, and that's the process. Easy. Anyone can do it.
Pete, what sort of management tips can you share for the worm farmer?
Okay, there's a few key ones, Costa. Firstly, keep it in the shade. Your worms will die in the sun. Once a week, you need to put in like a sprinkling of dolomite lime, about a teaspoon or so, and then water it really well until water's running out the bottom. The dolomite stops it getting too acid from things like citrus and fruit and other things like that. If it starts to smell, it's telling you there's not enough air in there, so you probably put in too much food compared to what the worms can eat, and stop feeding it for a week or so, and it'll come good again.
Now, what do you do when the top tray, the feeding tray, is full?
Yeah, vital question, Costa. It'll take a couple of months to get to that point. So let me take you over to one that's already full. Most of the worms now will have moved out of that home tray up into this top tray. So you lift this whole top tray off, most of your worms will be there. Oh, and look at what this is the beautiful casting, the worm poo, the gold. So you take this one out, and that's going to go to your garden. You then bring this one back, which was your top tray, your feeding tray. Take your cover off. Get your empty tray now, the one you've cleaned out, back on there. A couple of handfuls of soil like before, and we're away, ready to begin again.
The castings can be used in a number of ways. You can dig them into the garden, spread them over the soil and cover with mulch, or mix them with water. The worm juice that flows into the bucket is also a great plant food. Dilute it to the colour of weak tea and away you go. Now, Pete, people often get confused whether to compost or worm farm or both. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they do, Costa. I like both. The reason being, worm farming is just for food scraps and a bit of soil to give you beautiful casting in the worm juice. Your composting is for your volume materials, you know, like your garden materials, leaves and grass clippings and things like that. So it's volume for composting, concentrated worms.
That's really a concise way of looking at it. Thanks for all your worm wisdom today. It's been a treat.
It's been a pleasure, Costa. And before you go, I've got a little present for you.
Oh, look at this.
Some of my friends to take
Some
with
worms. Fantastic. Well, I promise to multiply them.
For your Verge friends.
Come and visit.
Thanks, Costa.
See ya.
See ya.